out to the rear. So if you'd all join us, please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So we're going to do a quick roll. Trustee Berenger,
Berenger's present.
Trustee Carl,
Carl, present.
Trustee O'Connor,
O'Connor, present.
Trustee Ferraro acting as Deputy Mayor is present, and Mayor Dwyer is out today. Our first order is the public hearing, introductory draft local law of 2024 amendment to Chapter 155A, property maintenance law. Do I have a motion, please?
Berenger will make the motion.
Carl will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Are there any public comments? Do we have anyone want to discuss this? Give it a minute or two?
Yeah.
Okay.
Since we just started.
Deputy Mayor, if I could just make a comment again. I had brought it up at the last meeting regarding the height of the grass.
Yes.
I really think 10 inches is a little too high, and we should bring that down to 8 inches. Because by the time somebody, especially in the dead of summer, by the time somebody gets violated and it gets turned over to a contractor to cut, it's way over 10 inches. So, and if you ever see what 8 inches of grass looks like, or 10 inches of grass, it's substantial. You can't cut that with a push mower.
Right.
So I really like the board to consider lowering that from 10 inches to 8 inches.
Did you see the comments that you
I
got
did.
back from?
I did. He actually wanted to put it in a range between 8 and 10.
Yeah, I would not suggest that, but,
Can we go over what exactly we do if the grass, just the step-by-step, if the grass is above 10, we issue them with,
well, maybe I'll go over
Yeah.
what we've changed here.
Okay.
So if you look at the local law, we've modified some of the regulations as applied to vehicles. We took out inoperative or abandoned because that's really something that the police deal with. So we really focused on parking, like in the lawn, etc. We also added a provision, if you look at the intent, legislative intent, we've added a whole section that talks about repeat offenders. So if you are a repeat offender, you essentially go to court on the third offense.
Okay.
Now we've added, we've modified slightly the some of the definitions based on input from the building department, specifically Ron, and also Rob, the prosecutor, who was very helpful with this. We added commercial motor vehicles, heavy commercial, you'll see that. We've defined order to remedy, premises, repeat offender, who is issued, that's a person who's issued a notice of violation of a particular section of the code, 155A, 6A through E, 3 or more times in a 12-month period. And we've also added a strict liability violation, and that is a violation in which the prosecution in a legal proceeding is not required to prove criminal intent as part of its case. I talked quite at length with the prosecutor, and we added this section. And it is enough to prove that the defendant either did an act which was prohibited or failed to do an act which the defendant was legally required to do. Strict liability violations cannot be remedied and are therefore deemed irremediable. Okay, so the repeat offenders is directed specifically at people who essentially use the village to cut their grass. So they wait till they get a violation and then they cut their grass, or they just allow the village to cut it and they just pay the costs. Now, the problem with that is that it costs the village money and resources to continually violate repeat offenders. So that's targeted very much at the grass people and the garbage people, as well as people who are parking their cars, multiple cars on the lawn. The strict liability, again, what was happening was people were parking cars on the lawn, they would get violated, they would move the car, and then they'd bring it back. So 3 of those, I mean, if you get a violation for parking your car on the lawn, that's it. There's no ability to remedy. You get fined and you go to court, or you go to court and get fined. Now, certainly the building department and the code enforcement officer can issue a warning, and I think that will probably happen quite a bit. Listen, if you don't keep these cars off the lawn, I'm going to issue a violation, you will go to court. And hopefully that will, over time, stop that practice, because it's, you know, it really is unsightly. I have a friend who owns property in the village, and she ends up having trucks parked on her lawn. So those were added for that reason. Also, let's see, we made some other minor adjustments to some of the definitions.
So basically, without a doubt, the length of the grass is just a very, very small part of this whole.
It's a very small part of it,
But
and
I just, you had said that it's costing the village money. We are charging administrative fees on top of the violation. Should that not be covering our cost?
well, it should, and I understand you can have a schedule of administrative fees. To the extent that you're doing that, yes, that can help cover the costs. But again, you're wasting somebody's time. So
Time is money, right?
right, so somebody's time to continuously cite the same people, and it's mostly absentee landlords. That's who's doing this.
Absentee landlords.
Absentee landlords, I mean,
The
you can't
expense has
even
got to be
find
borne
them.
by them and not by the village, regardless. They're you know.
But to do the job, we have to take somebody off of a work detail and put them there.
I was talking to somebody in, who said that in Walden, they did something where if it was over, let's say 10 inches, the lawn was mowed and then they were given a bill for $350 that they had to pay.
Well, here, you do the same thing. It's just that with the strict liability, recall that, you know, there's a due process issue. So with strict liability, that goes away. So the due process is actually going to court. So what was
Meanwhile, the
happening,
grass is still growing. That's why
Right.
we need to get that.
but that's the strict liability. Okay, so you still have so much time to cut the grass, but you can't just cut the grass and then it's over with. You will go to court and get before the justice. Okay, so so what we've done in terms of the content and the order to remedy, we've added that you have 5 days from the date of violation. And if you want, now this applies to all except strict liability, okay? If you want to have a hearing before the village board, you have to tell the clerk, which hasn't been happening. People just don't show up.
Right.
Okay. We've
Okay.
also made some changes to we've also made changes to the so if you look at strict liability, the violations of 155A 6F through H, now that is, I have to open up, I think that's the, we didn't modify that, so that's the grass, for example, and the cars on the lawn. And so what it says in the new local law, the revised law, is there's no time to remedy. You have to remedy it immediately. And you also are issued an appearance ticket to go to court. And then the penalties, we've modified the penalties to increase them.
Right.
As you know, we've also added, we modified the language from misdemeanor to violation, because misdemeanor, as the judge rightly pointed out, means that they need a defense attorney.
Right.
But because it's a criminal offense, a violation also a criminal offense, but they cannot go to jail for more than 15 days. Misdemeanor is up to 1,000 days. So we've modified that to make the prosecution easier.
Okay.
So that's a summary of the high points of the local law revisions.
And they can always be modified again if we find that 10 inches isn't working, we could always come readdress it at some further point down the line.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
And the building department's comment was, it would just be too much to be issuing that many. That was their comment to you guys.
Right. Okay. So if there's no further comments, then I'd like to motion to close public hearing.
Carl will make the motion.
Berenger will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Okay, so passed.
Well, it's not adopted
Well,
yet. The public hearing is
Public hearing is closed.
right.
Okay. Need a motion to approve the November 19th board meeting minutes.
O'Connor will make the motion.
Carl will second.
Any comments on the minutes? If not, call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Great, passed. Okay. Trustee Carl?
Yep. This is resignation of water treatment plant operator Ernest Maybe. Resolve the Board of Trustees accepts the resignation of Ernest Maybe, water treatment plant operator from the Water Department, effective November 20th, 2024. And I'll put that in the form of a motion.
O'Connor will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Very good. Okay. Trustee O'Connor?
Be resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the resignation of Daniel Hegarty, part-time secretary to the Zoning Board of Appeals, effective December 1st, 2024. I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Berenger will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Okay. Council, we've reached the adoption of the law. Shall I just read on, or?
Well, we have explained the local law, so you would just read the motion to adopt it unless there are changes to it. Insignificant changes would be fine, but significant changes, we would have to start the process over.
And the height of the grass, is that significant?
I think if you go from 10
10 to
inches
8.
to 8 inches, I think that that is a significant enough change that it will generate a lot more violations. So we
Okay.
would,
Well,
if you
we'll-
want to do that, you can table the local law.
No, I think we should go ahead and do this, and if it turns out to be an issue a little later on, we'll have to readdress it.
Okay, so then you would just, you have the amendment, you have the notice of the resolution of adoption in front of you. You would just read that and then motion
The
it.
short form.
Yeah, that's it.
Whereas the Village Board of the Village of Monroe, New York, duly noticed a public hearing held on December 3rd, 2024, and whereas the Village Board solicited public comment during the said public hearing on December 3rd, 2024, and whereas the proposed local law amends Chapter 155A Property Maintenance Law, and now and therefore be it resolved that, 1, the above whereas paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference. 2, the local law amendment to Chapter 155A Property Maintenance Law is adopted as local law number 7 of 2024 of the Village of Monroe on December 3rd, 2024. The Village Board hereby directs the village clerk to take all steps to process and file said local law. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So I'd like to put that in a form of a motion.
Berenger will second.
I call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Okay, so passed. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Police Department, auction of surplus vehicles. Trustee Berenger.
Whereas state law requires equipment no longer needed by a municipality be sold at fair market value after declaring it surplus and no longer needed, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the recommendation of Chief Guzman and declares the following equipment surplus to the needs of the village and authorizes it to be auctioned through Auctions International to the highest bidder. Items to be auctioned are as followed: 8 Milestone HIK cameras replaced by new station cameras, 5 Panasonic Toughbooks replaced by new patrol vehicle laptops. Should I read the serial number? Where does it?
Is that necessary?
I don't know.
No.
Okay. I'd like to put this in the form of a motion.
O'Connor will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
It says vehicle surplus on the agenda. That's not vehicles.
Equipment.
Huh?
And replacement of the HVAC system, Trustee
Be it
Berenger.
resolved, the Board of Trustees authorizes the replacement of the Police Department's HVAC system by Westar Tech Services, Middletown, New York, in the amount of $51,750 to be budgeted from A.0231.500 Building Reserve. The Police Department received multiple estimates and would like to move forward with Westar Tech Services. And I'd like to put this in the form of a motion.
Any discussion? Call the question.
I gotta get a second.
Second.
Oh, I need a second.
Second.
O'Connor will second.
Do we know how much is in that building reserve by any chance?
I don't know. Do we know? Kim? No.
We have enough to cover this?
Yeah, we should. I don't think we do it.
They would have asked for a transfer if they didn't. Okay. Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Okay. That is the agenda, very light agenda. Any reports from? The only thing I want to bring up is that we've started a passport contest. It's to help our various retailers within the Village of Monroe. So you can pick up a card from any of the retailers, go from retailer to retailer. They will place a stamp on it saying that you had visited their stores, may hopefully purchase something. And those cards at the end will be collected and put into a drawing for a prize where all of the retailers will be in fact donating something from their businesses. So it's kind of fun to do while during the, you're going shopping, so it'll be fun to go from store to store and get a sticker.
Nice. Did you say it started already?
It started today.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome. I wanted to remind the public that we have the Village's Winterfest coming up on December 14th from 3 to 6. It is between the ponds. I know we have our usual snacks and music and our visit from Mr. and Mrs. Claus, and we'd love to see everyone join us. I believe hay rides also.
Yes, the hayride will be there.
Just real quick, the USDA home repair program, we just got an email on this today. Maybe we can get this on, this link out on our website. The USDA Rural Development has announced their Section 504 home repair program, which provides loans to very low-income homeowners to repair, improve, or modernize their homes, or grants to elderly, very low-income homeowners to remove health and safety hazards. Please see their webpage, and hopefully, Kim, we can get this up on get this link up, so if anybody's out there, elderly, low income, there's help available.
Okay. Trustee O'Connor?
I'm good.
Okay. Any public comments? Come forward.
Evening. Amanda from the Monroe Free Library. I'm also a village resident. I'm here tonight to follow up on a previous time that we came early in November about the 2 spots in front of the library. It continues to be a concern of the library as well as our patrons. The last time we came, we had over 80 complaints. Since then, we've had another 30 additional complaints from our patrons who are deeply concerned about the access to the library and having to pay to park. I was wondering if the board had any opportunity to consider our proposal of making those 2 spots 30-minute parking spots instead of metered.
Well, since we last spoke, we've turned all of the road, Smith Court Road, into free parking. So you saw the new sidewalks put in, curbs put in. We do have to paint the lines, I believe, still, but that entire road is now free parking.
Well, that's always been free parking, and that's not what we're talking
and we're
about.
giving you additional spots, and the relationship to the library is about the same for those 3 spots.
Right.
And we have additional spots we were able to gain because we're changing the angle of the parking. We're able to put in additional spots. And we'll be putting additional spots across the street on the more closer to Stage Road, but there'll be additional spots. There'll be a lot of parking there.
Right, but I'm here to talk specifically about those 2 spots in front of the library. It's really about proximity. Those spots are close to the door. It's getting to be wintertime. It's going to be cold and icy. Our elderly patrons are not going to want to park on Smithfield Court and walk around, unfortunately.
Have the library workforce thought about giving up some of their spots that are on the property that's even closer to the door?
No, that's not a consideration, because the last time I spoke, I expressed our concern about, we do hold events in that parking lot over the summer, and then we're going to give something to our community and then have to constantly take it back from them whenever we have to shut down the parking lot to hold an event. We do a lot of summer events in that parking lot and in that big grassy area. So I really don't think that that is the direction that we're looking to go in.
Well, we haven't done anything more. Right now, because of the holidays and there's no fee for parking during the holiday time period, we haven't thought about that, since you can park there for free right now. So we haven't thought about that, but maybe we'll have to reconsider it come the new year.
I see where you're coming from. I know, like I said, I know my mom will be there tomorrow. She goes to a bereavement group there.
Right.
And she has quite a few friends that go there, and I do agree that it's an issue. I was actually just in the library on Sunday. I needed a new library card, and I even saw you had nice raffles there. I do understand you know, that it's cold and people don't want to walk far. I totally understand it. I don't know if there's, you know, something we can do.
Right,
I'm open for
yeah.
something like that, because I do agree we have a lot of elderly people, and that's their way sometimes of using the internet, maybe just getting out of the house. So it's something I would be interested in, but I don't know, you know, what we would need to do for that, or
Right.
how that would work.
I mean, we're just here tonight. I'm here with one of my other board members. I'm here to see how do we move this discussion forward? How can we collaborate and partner and be community partners together and serve our community? Because that's what this is about. This is really about serving our community and giving them access to something that they're already paying for.
Now, these spots would be designated only for the library.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to find a solution.
Or library hours.
Well, the only concern I have, I know there's an empty restaurant there. It seems to start up and then,
Fizzle.
but yeah, at some point, you know, if there's an active tenant in there, how
Right.
would that work?
Well, I think they're talking about the spot that years ago was a dentist office that now is a grassy field.
Yeah,
Correct.
I know exactly. I walked that whole perimeter after the last board meeting. I was over there next day looking.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, right now, it's free parking.
Right,
for the
I understand,
holidays.
but that's
I think-
temporary.
I think after the holidays, why don't we get back and we discuss it? But everybody should go take a walk over there if you haven't.
Oh, I know it. I know it well.
I mean, the mayor had come down to talk about something else with me, and while we were standing out there talking about the sidewalk, a patron pulled right up, parked her car, ran in, got her book, and left. And that was it. And that's what those spots have really traditionally been about. It's a point of ease of access, just to pull in, get what you need, and go. That's why we're not saying make them free again. We're saying let's compromise, do 30-minute parking, something to allow the people who are just trying to get in and get out and get what they need. You know, I look forward to continuing this conversation and trying to find a solution that's best for the community.
I think let's get through the holidays and then beginning of the year, we can discuss it.
Okay. All right. Okay, great.
Do a happy medium somehow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is, I don't know if you could, my name is Kathy Bayer. I'm a recent, like 2-year resident of Monroe.
How do you spell your last name?
Bayer. And recent member of the board for the library. And I just want to support Amanda's request. I really appreciate that, you know, you're clearly open to it. The thing that I noticed is that it's not even the money, although we are a free library and this does add a little more of a cost to people when they come in, but it's the burden of getting out. You know, people have, I mean, elderly certainly an issue, but also people with little children, the books, you know, they're fumbling and they just want to get in and get out. And I think that's, this kiosk thing is just adding another barrier when they have to walk a half a block or not, you know, the distance and then get the kids and then go. So anything you could do to help support those extra, I think the short-term parking thing would be a really good compromise. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, well, I think that's it. Okay.
Do we have anything? Nope.
Motion to close the meeting?
Berenger will make the motion.
O'Connor will second.
Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carlisle.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a happy
Thank you.